I want the truth and nothing but the truth.
If you end up liking this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe with notifications on to keep seeing them. Also, fun fact, most of y'all that watch these videos are not subscribed rather than are subscribed, so make sure to subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Finally, I made a TikTok, right, and I post my takes on there and stuff like that, so make sure to go follow that too. You'll get to see my takes and stuff. Anyways, enjoy the video. What's up, everybody? It's your lawyer, Godot, and today is a special day because I have a double collab. Metas and LumosTheromax, as we're going to be scaling soft and wet, and soft and wet go beyond. Metas, the GOAT, will scale soft and wet. Take it away, Metas.
Yo everybody, it's your boy Metas here, and I'm here to collab with Jobber. We've already kind of done this in the past on my channel, but I've never been on his channel, so hi, how you guys doing? So when it comes to Josuke, or aka Gappy, at least in these early parts of the show, where he's first introduced, he is introduced with Yasuho Hirose. Surprisingly enough, we actually do get introduced to a small, bubble feat with soft and wet, that being the ability to take away kind of almost abstract things, in this case eyesight, from Josuke. Also within that kind of like almost small engagement, he has the ability to knock out a person with his punches through the gut, basically. This is actually not very commonly shown within JoJo, a character just kind of knocking out another person without a stand or an enhanced ability like Hamon or the spin. Shortly after this, in the hospital, Josuke has the ability just to take away water weight from another person. So shortly after the whole introduction arc of Josuke within JoJolion, we eventually get introduced to kind of soft and wet in its entirety, and kind of a lot of its more abstract abilities, that being of course the ability to take away sound away from walls and stuff thanks to his bubbles. Now this can lead to a large amount of abilities and just kind of opens up the gateway to Josuke just being able to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily capped. The bubbles are able to take away practically anything away from an object, that being, its sound or the friction or, just anything in general. It's actually never capped, and I'm kind of actually struggling to actually kind of describe it because, well, it gets used and never really explained too in-depthly. So I guess for the sake of argument, and probably even people wanting to scale Josuke, he theoretically could take away maybe anything. Who knows? Josuke is also pretty perceptive in this fight. Overall, Josuke is kind of a really good fighter, and not a lot of people know this. I'm just pointing this out for now for sake. Gappy actually can't use his bubbles on himself, so of course that's a callback to Josuke from part 4. So to go a little bit more in depth with the whole like bubbles taking away things from things, Josuke is actually able to take away the friction from walls / beings. Now this is probably one of the more extremely abstract things he takes away throughout the entire series. Genuinely speaking, if a character doesn't have friction at the bottom of their feet to do things, you're gonna lose, more or less, like I want to say 100% of the time. That's kind of a high ball. The next major highlight Josuke actually has is with California King Bed, where his memories keep on getting taken away, but Josuke is kind of able to at least hold on to the idea that something's wrong. This might be due to him being a fusion. We'll get into that a little bit later, but like Josuke is still able to fight a stand user even when handicapped and just kind of being pressured by that stand. So I guess the next major highlight, or just stand fight in general, for soft and wet and Josuke is within Born This Way. Born This Way has the ability to appear from anything that kind of opens like a doorway. To note, doorway is extremely abstract way of saying it. Basically anything that opens, Born This Way has the ability to enter or exit out of, basically. And with that, it has the ability to kind of control the weather / environment. It's mostly frozen and kind of windy. Due to Born This Way's ability kind of being windy and frozen, it has the ability to kind of almost push things towards people when it actually is activated. This means that Josuke had to fight a lot of the environment around him, that being kind of like steel signs and just kind of smaller objects. But one of the probably greater feats within that fight is when a sign kind of impales his head and Josuke is able to tank it and just kind of keep on fighting. It's probably one of his better durability feats until the very end of the series, but just to keep in mind that Josuke is able to take a lot of damage even with the early parts of JoJolion. Surprisingly enough, within that same fight, Josuke has the ability to drop kick a stand, which shouldn't be possible thanks to stand rules, and that might be because the stand is automatic. It's never explained very well enough, but Josuke can drop kick a stand for whatever reason. But the one downside we get to see in this fight is that if the bubbles get frozen, they're not usable. So, that's a thing, but I don't think a lot of stands in the series are going to be able to, really manipulate that in any sense. So it's probably one of the more niche things that happens within stand fights that don't need to really get covered that much, but if he's fighting White Album, you might have a problem, but I doubt that. So one of the more abstract things that the bubbles can actually do when taking away certain kind of aspects of an object is the ability to track smell / scent. So if you're fucking smelly, put on some deodorant, you losers. Anyway, Josuke's also been seen to be able to react pretty fastly towards other stand users. The scaling when it comes to, you know, speeds in at least part 7 and part 8 are really abstract, but I'll let Jobber and them discuss that for later in this video. So, you know, he's still pretty fast, faster than a large majority of other stand users in this part. So yeah, it's just shown here in Born This Way pretty well, I would say. So the reveal in Born This Way is that we actually get to learn that Josuke and Soft and Wet are actually a fusion of 2 different characters, that being Yoshikage Kira and Josefumi Kujo. And similar to, you know, Dragon Ball logic, you know, the abilities of Killer Queen and Soft and Wet kind of get fused together and kind of almost multiplied in a sense and become extremely powerful. In short, Josuke is able to react to, you know, the stand leave. Jobber will pull it up on screen for you guys, but he's able to, you know, that stand was able to react and kind of almost deflect the infinite rotation in a way. And so Josuke can react to that creature if you want a greater speed feat, but, you know, we won't get into that. So Josuke reacts to an enemy that caught Paisley Park in movement. So to keep in the mind of Paisley Park is not a very powerful stand, but she is very fast. Paisley Park is able to move through power outlets and travel at the speed of electricity, and is able to move and traverse in a kind of infinite space. So if you want, you know, speed feats there you go. I guess with some minor things that I can cover with this, Josuke is able to take away moisture. He can encase people in his bubbles, including himself. He can push people and take away sound. That's probably one of the greater ones. Take out the air in people's lungs, take away fire. Josuke himself, probably due to his fusion, is a skilled fighter. He's able to block attacks with the bubble that's seen in these early parts of JoJolion and the later parts. Overall, Josuke is extremely powerful, and to kind of almost hype up the fusion itself, Yoshikage Kira in this universe can be calced to at least large building level plus. So to kind of give the rough idea of the Dragon Ball statement back again, it's a fusion of 2 characters, so both their positives and negatives, of course, get put together and multiplied. So Soft and Wet, at least when it comes to Josuke, would be at least around large building level plus to probably even more. Well, that's all I kind of have to talk about here. Deuces.
Alright, thank you Metas for the Soft and Wet scaling. Everyone be sure to go check out his channel, as we'll be collabing on more topics related to Part 8 scaling. Now, me and another special guest will scale Soft and Wet Go Beyond. He helped me with half of its scaling. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up guys? I'm actually LumosTheromax, and normally on my channel, I'm out there covering lantern-based content, or like DC Cosmology, but I actually do go hard on some anime and manga. So it's great to be here, and I appreciate Jobber Godot for having me on the channel, and I'm looking forward to revealing the new spicy scaling that may change the entire meta for JoJo's.
Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into the scaling. So, Soft and Wet Go Beyond and its attacks are illogical, okay? So, the flow of calamity is the flow of reason, which is logic. Here's a quote. The logic of this world is linked together in a continuous chain. Now, worlds in JoJo are universes. D4C dimension hops to parallel dimensions that are referred to as worlds. The JoJo multiverse is infinite in the number of universes and is logically understood in verse. True form Wonder Review is the embodiment of logic. Quote, the form of the head doctor is calamity energy. Now, Wonder Review is a hybrid of a stand and a person. As the head doctor, a stand is the mind and soul, and Wonder Review seemingly died mind, body, and soul and came back because he's logic. Now, Wonder Review is stated to be a universal law, since we've already covered that worlds in JoJo mean universes in general that exist and will never go away. Now, with that, Wonder Review should scale to each individual world in the JoJo multiverse, and the ideas within each world are within the flow of reason, aka logic. Now, this gives Wonder View high godly regeneration, which is, quote, the ability to regenerate after the erasure of body, mind, soul, along with at least one fundamental aspect of a character's existence, the underlying concept or information needed for him to exist. Wonder View is a concept that is logic that scales within the JoJo multiverse, or that the information needed, which is logic, is needed for him to exist. Now, Soft and Wet Go Beyond is stated and shown to be beyond / transcendent above all logic and reason. Its attacks don't exist in their world and are invisible to beings who are or exist within logic. Its attacks even destroyed Wonder View / logic as a whole. Finally, Wonder View scales above all villains in JoJo, including D4C Love Train that just transcends an infinite amount of dimensions / universes, because Araki says Wonder View is the strongest villain with the strongest ability. So, in conclusion, Soft and Wet Go Beyond's illogical attacks negate durability up to a multiversal plus level, because logic exists within each world in the infinite JoJo multiverse and negates regen up to high godly regen, and is unaffected by any hacks, idea, etc. shown in the JoJoverse because they exist within logic.
But Jobber! Says GER is Undefeatable Fan 69. Wonder View is actually the flow of logic, since it follows a certain logic. Well, just because Wonder View is bound by a certain logic doesn't mean he isn't using logic in general. For example, if I'm the embodiment of logic, then obviously I'm bound by logic and where it scales inverse. The certain logic that Araki refers to when it comes to Wonder View is called karmic retribution. Karmic retribution is the logic of everything a character has interacted with until their confrontation with Wonder View and his calamity energy. Now, even if this scan was supposed to mean that Wonder View isn't the totality of the flow of logic, it still means that he certainly still follows the flow of logic in verse. If you lowball this scan, you can use it against our argument, but it's one scan against entire chapters worth of evidence that favors our logic and reasoning at the end of the day. And since Wonder View is bound by a certain logic, can you prove to me that it's not the flow of logic? Because even if Wonder View isn't the totality of that logic, he still uses logic that flows or exists throughout the entire JoJo multiverse and will always come back from any attack because of that logic always existing in the multiverse. Now, this scan helps Wonder View because Araki says Wonder View is the strongest villain in the series, which upscales off of all of the characters GER upscales off of, and only Soft and Wet Go Beyond can or has overcome Wonder View currently, specifically in this Superior Tutor. Now, whenever it comes to the speed of everything going on here, when it comes to like Soft and Wet Go Beyond specifically, it obviously has an immeasurable speed, pretty comfortably. Why? Well, the soap bubbles spin so fast they don't exist in their world or universe. Furthermore, this attack is completely outside of space and time, and it doesn't exist anywhere. How come? Well, because its individual world or universe has logic, and this attack goes beyond all of that logic. This fits the immeasurable speed definition of moving beyond linear time because it exists outside of time and like all of the time and space in the JoJo multiverse. So, naturally, Soft and Wet Go Beyond's attacks would move immeasurably fast when shot because everything about the attack is illogical. No one dodges this attack in verse because they literally cannot react to it. Infinite speed is moving in a space where time is stopped, which is logical by inverse standard. Rip. But has somebody perceived this attack before? It seems once it's fully mastered, no one has been able to perceive or dodge the attack in combat.
Editor Jobber Godot here. Now, more on this is that Soft and Wet Go Beyond's like first two fired attack, incomplete / logical. Now, here's what a perfect illogical bubble attack is that it passes through everything, it's completely invisible, it doesn't exist in their world, and it's fused with Soft and Wet and Killer Queen's like explosive abilities the first two illogical bubbles created unknown by Josuke were able to go completely unseen and undetected by Toro and Wonder Review, and Toro confirms that he had complete control over Josuke's bubbles because they're in the flow of calamity, but couldn't detect these illogical bubbles. Wonder Review not only fails to react to the illogical bubble, but also takes damage. Toro and Wonder Review leave the fight completely with Josuke because of that, and Josuke is still learning how to make these illogical bubbles and notes that he can't control them and has a lot of difficulty trying to. His first shot is still logical because Josuke's friend points out that the one Josuke is about to fire can be seen and isn't the same as the illogical bubbles. Josuke even fires his first shot at that Wonder Review react, and the bubble doesn't go through anything unlike the illogical bubbles. Josuke tries to use that same bubble to get the calamity, just the calamities off of him, and fails. Josuke seemingly just has his ability illogically ready but misses because he can't control it. But finally, an illogical bubble is made and fired out of Josuke's shoulder, and Josuke himself confirms that the bubble he fired through the moon has illogical properties now, and then he finally just names it Soft and Wet Go Beyond.
Finally, the last thing about hacks is that Soft and Wet Go Beyond's attacks are completely immune to all other hacks within JoJo, since all those other hacks are by nature logical. In other words, if Soft and Wet uses Bubble Beam, logically, it's always going to be super effective.
Alright, thank you LumosTheromax for laying out the rest of the scaling. If y'all enjoyed Lumos' company, make sure to let me down below in the comments, okay? Go subscribe to him. Show him some love, alright? Show him some love. Both Lumos, yeah, come see him. Both Lumos and Meta's channel will be linked down in the description as well as appear at the end of the video. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.